Well, good evening. I take one of the comments coming up to the show that was saying good morning, our fellow armchair generals, and I think it's a right salutation for this event. This is our fourth announcement event, showcase event, call it what you like, in a row. We've been doing this for a few Tuesdays now, so I'm very happy that we're here for a roundup of the Matrix Games products. Being more like war games focused. We have a lot to talk about. I've got lots of sheets of paper here. There's a lot of updates on existing already announced games. You know that we have just announced Combat Mission Cold War. We're going to cover that later on as well. It's been a pretty frantic month, to be honest. We have announced, we have showcased Distant Worlds 2 almost like a month ago now. We have done Battle Sector, announced Battle Sector and showed Battle Sector last week. We have showed you more of Starship Troopers. All these games are going to come up very soon and this year, but there's so much more happening. So I think by next week or maybe earlier, we're gonna sort of try and map out in a sort of a graphical way, you know, everything that we've been announcing, because there's a lot going on, and we want to be aware of what is coming and when, so that you're always up to date on that. Today, I was saying we're going to focus on war games. War games means War in the East, it means decisive campaigns, it means there's more to know about Warplan Pacific. We have just announced Combat Mission Cold War with Battlefront just this morning. And but before we get to that, I want to be introduced to a new game we're announcing today. It's actually a game that's already been announced, but one of the developers started working with us in the meantime, so we're now joining the band, the Slitherine Matrix band, to release the game with us. And I'm going to have him with me today to talk about the game. The game is called Valor and Victory. We are very proud of this new product that's going to come up this year. It's almost like it's a board game conversion. But before I'm not the right person to talk about this game. We've got a developer with us, so I'll welcome Lance Craner of Yobo War Games and have a chat with him. Hello, Lance.
Hi, Marco.
All right. I hope that audio works fine. I am, we had issues in the past, so I hope everything works well now. Lance, to start with, I'd like to show the reveal trailer we've prepared for Valor and Victory, and then we can come back and discuss a little bit about the game. Okay?
Right.
All right, so here we are. So the word is out. So Lance, Valor and Victory is based on an original board game, right?
Right. Yes, it is. Yeah, about 3 years ago, I was looking for I wanted to do a squad level based tactical war game. So I was looking for someone that had already written some rules and had a board game version out there I could convert. And then I came across Barry Doyle's game, Valor and Victory, and that just fitted exactly perfectly what I was looking for. It was squad level. He'd written in it, designed it, and had it published about 10 years before. It's never been published by a big publisher. He was self-publishing. So I got in contact with Barry and said, I'd really like to convert your game into a PC version. He was delighted because it meant his game would get hopefully more exposure. So I have been basically working with Barry for the last 3 years, gradually taking his board game and converting it into a PC version.
Yeah, one of the questions, and I think it's a very good starting point, I guess. How deep is the game? If compared to a lock and load or an advanced squad leader, how deep is it, and what level of depth does the game have?
Yeah, so I knew the question of comparing it to advanced squad leader would come up. So I would say this is this takes the and similar to a lot of squad level games, it takes the basic elements of those games. So at tactical level, you're commanding squads, tanks, you've got support weapons, but it doesn't have those minute details of, say, advanced squad leader, where it's thousands of rules covering every possible scenario. I would say this is a well-oiled machine that basically takes all that detail down to a lower level. It makes it simpler to understand the game without having to reference everything, and I think takes the most enjoyable elements of those games and allows you to play it without having to focus on every minute rule and possibility that's out there.
Right. Yeah. I think the experience of a fast-paced, or like having something that's self-contained but also gives this level of depth and tactical options is a good summary of what Valor and Victory is trying to achieve, I guess. In terms of setting, what is it that we are trying that the game is including right now?
So on its initial launch, it's going to be based around the Normandy 44 campaign, just after the landings. So it's going to be around 20 scenarios included. And they will be split roughly equally between American v the Germans and British v German scenarios. So roughly 10 of each, depending on how many we can get in before launch.
And is that the linked campaign or separate scenarios?
No, at the moment they're kind of they're loosely linked, but they're not. You don't follow a campaign type game through where you do one by one. You basically pick and choose which ones you want to play. That's a feature I'd like to add at a later date. Is a campaign type setting.
Right. One of the things you mentioned, and is also in the reveal trailer, I think it's very important, is a scenario editor. This gives a lot of flexibility to the engine itself and to the users to actually build and play their own scenarios. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Yeah.
So I wanted to have a scenario editor that allowed you to very quickly, without too much effort, to put together a quick scenario. And we're going to show a demo of the game in a few minutes, and that I basically put together with the scenario editor. Took me, of course, I'm used to using it, but it took me just 5 minutes to pick what I wanted, lay them out in a way that I thought would be good, especially for today's demonstration. But basically, I had that up and running it within the game in 5 minutes to start testing it. So the main thing I've tried to do is to make it fun to put together your own scenarios as well. So pick your units, the type of experience you want. I'm sure there's going to be some people that want a lot of units on there, some that would just want a few. But it really does allow you to very quickly, if you're a history lover, you're going to have little scenarios you want to play out. You can put together something very similar in just a few minutes to be playing it a few minutes after that, basically.
Yeah, I think when you come to this, this type of games, I think there's the need almost of people to actually build their own thing. It's just so much content added very quickly if you manage to do that. One of the other key things in this, I guess, because it's a board game, but also because we really wanted to make it a kind of competitive product, is the multiplayer component of it, right?
Yeah. So I'm really hoping this will be a big part of the game, because the games themselves, you can create a scenario. You can make it, I guess, a short one if you want to play for a friend for 30 minutes. You can also do a bigger one. You basically the being able to swap as you play by email, be very quick. Hopefully you won't be waiting days for someone to respond to it. A typical turn, depending on complexity, can be between 5-10 minutes. You could quite easily, in an evening of 2 or 3 hours, if you were sat there doing other things, be able to play a scenario with one of your friends. And then, of course, we're looking at a tournament system where I would imagine we'll probably have some kind of linked scenarios of a theme, and basically you'll play through those in the tournament system with an eventual winner of the tournament.
Yeah, that's really cool. So we've got a few minutes of gameplay you want to go through, and then we can come back and discuss a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. So as I said, I put this together in a scenario editor. So we basically have Corporal James is looking to assault across a bridge. We've got 2 or 3 British squads, so the tanking support, and some Germans with machine guns and an anti-tank across. We're in the command phase, and basically in that you can merge your troops, split them out, and swap weapons. Then we go into the fire phase. So the British will be firing, and for this moment, the British squad in the woods are going to look for an opponent with line of sight, and they're going to attack fire at the Germans in the woods with a Bren gun. And then we will move on to the move phase, where obviously you can move your squads that haven't moved in the or haven't fired in the fire phase. So we're going to actually get James to put some smoke onto the bridge, and then we're going to be moving the tank up close to the bridge, and you will see the German anti-tank gun get an opportunity to actually do opportunity fire and fire at something that's coming into their line of sight during the move phase. So the anti-tank gun fires. Unfortunately for the Germans, it hits the tank but doesn't cause any damage. And we're going to rotate the tank round to have its front facing towards the anti-tank gun. And then we're going to get James to do a combat move, assault move across the bridge. So this gives them a little bit of protection because they're obviously sprinting. But the German MG in the building will still got an opportunity to fire. The Germans aren't having much luck in this particular game. And then the Germans that haven't fired in opportunity fire will get an opportunity to fire in defensive fire. So Germans in the woods firing at the British in the woods, and they've actually pinned the British unit. And then the other German squad will fire at James. And then we will move on to advance and assault. So you can move your units forward. James is actually going to assault the anti-tank gun and take that out. And then we'll see the tank move forward 1 hex into the smoking bridge. And then we will see play move to the Germans. In this case, it's the Germans are controlled by the AI. So the command phase units get a chance to rally. Germans are going to go straight into their fire phase. They're going to, 2 of the units will fire at the British in the woods, and then the rifle squad next to Corporal James will fire at Corporal James. And then the next phase would be the move phase, but the Germans have actually used up, everyone's fired, so you can't do 2 actions in one turn. So now we go back to the British. You get a chance for defensive fire. So the tank, we're just checking line of sight here, looking at what he can fire at. Can't see the unit in the woods, but you can see the unit in the building, and we'll fire at them. And Corporal James will fire at the German squad it's next to. So you can see the tank fired. You can see it pinned a unit and inflicted some casualties. Corporal James won't be so successful in this attack. And then we will move to the German advance and assault phase, but in this instance they decide to stay put. And that would be basically the end of one full turn. And then we come back again to the command phase. You can see some of the troops have rallied from their pin status, and then we start the whole cycle again for turn 2.
That's an interesting presentation. I think that it gives a good outline of what the game's about. There's lots of questions I had, the first time I saw the game, and the first thing was, this is a game with an engine with limitless possibilities, right? You can add, unlimited scenarios. You can add campaigns. You can add, Where do you see the game going, in the future? What's your mid to long term view for a product?
Yeah, I have big plans for this game. So. Obviously, to add more nations. So later this year, I'm certainly looking to add the Russians. I know a lot of people are very interested in the Eastern Front. So to add that to it, and some scenarios based, I think my first one will probably be Stalingrad. So get some winter theme in there. Also looking to do a Arnhem campaign at some point this year as well. So that would be my plans for this year. And then gradually, there's some things we couldn't get into this release, things like artillery, mortars. So basically expand the options of weapons available to you and what they can do. And I'd love, at some point to get river crossings in and things like that. So, and then, of course, at some point move to the Pacific theatre as well. And then, and then in the future, add some of the other countries like France, so we can do some of the earlier the war, and some of the smaller nations involved, Finland, Poland, etc.
Yeah. That's absolutely, very understandable. I'd say that, Alain said, this is a start of something very cool. First things we need to release the first product, and to get it very balanced, very very enjoyable. So let all the guys know that the game is currently subscribing beta testers. So if you go to matrixgames.com/beta, you'll see that the game is now available for beta testing. Make sure you get there so that you're part of the first batch of beta testers when we start official testing. And in terms of time frame, when are you planning to finish the game and release in your mind right now?
In my mind right now would be around May time. Most of we've pretty much got in all the features we want to get into this first release. So most of my focus now is on the AI, trying to balance that and give it someone playing it a good game, and get some more scenarios in, and obviously balance those out as well, both for AI play and when you're playing against another opponent as well. So we're pretty much, another couple of weeks. Hopefully, I'd say is feature complete, and then we're really focused on sorting out our remaining bugs that beta testers find, and getting more content in there in the way of scenarios.
Cool. Yeah. Well, remind everyone that the game is on Steam already. The product page is on Steam already, so you can wishlist the game there. Make sure you do it. It's also on the Matrix game site. You can wishlist it there. And for a May release, I mean, we need your help, guys. So make sure that you subscribe to the beta, and we're welcoming you to play the game first and give us feedback, because that's very important to us. You know that. Lance, thank you very, very much for joining us. It's been it's been very good to have you. Good to have your view of what Valor in Victory will be in the future as well. And if there's anything you want to add.
No, I think just to reinforce your comment about testers, we'd really love some more active testers. There's a lot in the game. There's myself and one other developer, Bruce, working on this. So, and of course we have a mindset of how to test the game, but we need to expand that mindset so people test it in a different way. So I really would encourage people to sign up and get testing that game, so we can together, bring out a fantastic squad level game.
Thank you very much, Lance, and I'm sure we'll see you very, very soon for a live demonstration or a more or a deeper look into Valor in Victory. Thank you very much.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, this was Valor in Victory. I am super excited about this game because I guess it's something that the Matrix catalog was missing. This squad level type of and board game like type of product, and I think it is this kind of game experience that it is fast. You don't need hours to play it, and but also it's deep enough and requires that wargaming knowledge that you guys can understand is very important in this type of games. I was seeing in the comments earlier on, it has this thing of most of the wargamers of the of the current wargamers starting wargaming with board games and then transitioning to digital. I think it's very much that spirit that we want to capture, so that you guys are interested by this type of products. But well, without further ado, I mean, let's try and cover Combat Mission Cold War, which is one of the key things we wanted to announce today. Right, so Combat Mission Cold War. Combat Mission, the story behind our relationship with Battlefront. It all started with professional wargaming. A few years back, we got in touch with the Battlefront bunch. We were looking at partnering for bringing Combat Mission Shock Force to professional wargaming, as in using the game in defense and in professional defense with professional defense clients. That's where we started, and it took us quite a long time to achieve this kind of dialogue, a good relationship, a partnership, a true partnership. So with the team, we ended up releasing Shock Force 2 at the end of last year, followed by Black Sea early this year. But Combat Mission Cold War is going to be the first game we release day and date with Battlefront, which means that Cold War will release soon. It's not too far away. We're just months away from release. It will release day and date on the Battlefront site, on Steam, on Matrix, on Slitherine, and all of the third-party sites reselling Steam keys, on GOG, and so on. So this is the first bit of information that's really important. So you can pre-order the game on Battlefront, but you remember that if you pre-order the game there, you'll get a Steam key when the game releases. And that's the first important bit of information I wanted to give you. The second bit of information is, of course, that the product page for Cold War is already on Steam, so you can wishlist it there, that's also important. You can wishlist it on Matrix Games as well if you want. The Combat Mission Cold War is entirely based on the current combat mission tech. There is no major engine overhaul or anything like that. It's really a game on its own, but it's entirely based on the current tech, combat mission tech. So it's not like a leap forward or anything in terms of technology. What is very different from the previous combat mission is, first of all, that it covers a much broader time period. So in terms of what it covers, it's going to be, of course, Cold War is a long stretch of time. It covers about 40-45 years of time. This is going to the main game, the launch game, will cover around 79 to 82, and it covers both the NATO and the Soviet Warsaw Pact forces. The structure of the game is going very much to be, based on, of course, introducing core forces. So you'll have, the peak of the technology of this period. Remember, the stretch of time, as I was saying, is pretty long. So we choose 79 to 82 because the units are super cool. It's when the both forces were really very well equipped, and they were very balanced as well. It's also, I think, a very major difference between this product and Shock Force and the previous ones. I guess that the modern ones have this kind of unbalanced in a way that the Americans are have this super top gear, whilst Syrians or whatnot have slightly unbalanced forces, whilst this is really very much based on balanced forces. And I think the other thing that you'll find is that there's so much new stuff that you'd be blown away. I mean, there's 3 different campaigns. And the 3 different campaigns are, of course, one is Americans, seen by, from the side of the Americans. The other one is from the Soviets, and I'll come to that later. But it all starts with the NTC campaign, which is basically the National Training Center in California. This is sort of almost like your tutorial, but it brings you to a number of simulated missions against the Soviets, which makes it really cool. The other thing is we wanted to give a lot of variety with units. So the US campaign is very much focused on the Fulda corridor, and whilst the Soviet one is kind of focused on northeast Fulda. This gives a lot of variety in terms of setting and in terms of how the game pans out, how the game develops, and all the campaigns are given a very different approach and a lot of differences in how you actually approach these campaigns. The scenarios themselves, there's I think there's 15 standalone scenarios, and these are all set in West Germany. The variety here, again, there's a lot of urban scenarios, there's a lot of open ground scenarios. There's a lot of variety so that you can use all the units in a very different way, and it gives a lot of tactical options as well. The game is right now into beta, so is in active beta. So this is all happening within the Battlefront site. So if you want to be part of the beta, or if you want to sort of subscribe to that, make sure that you go on the Battlefront site. We are not running betas on the Matrix Games site. We are going to launch the game day and date, but all the sort of development focused stuff happens there. The game is planned to release in April. It very much depends on how this late beta goes, but it seems to be that the guys at Battlefront were like, we want to give this big surprise and release the game very, very quickly just after we announced it. And I think that was achieved because I've seen a lot of excitement in the Battlefront site. The game will of course come whenever the guys are absolutely sure it's ready to release. But right now, just after Easter, which is Easter this year is the first week of April, so just after Easter will be approaching release. I don't think this is going to be too late after that, to be honest. I've seen the game and it's really ready now. As we were discussing models and what has to be finished, I think we're just about there, to be honest. So you're going to see it very, very soon. We're going to start previewing the game on these channels very, very soon as well. We are probably going to start streaming end of February, beginning of March. So that's when you'll start seeing the game in action. And there's plenty to see, and you're gonna be blown away. I think that the fact that there's so much content will give this product a lead in terms of how it's compared to its predecessors. So make sure you tune in very, very soon on that. For other products we wanted to give you news about. War in the East. Yes, well, War in the East. War in the East is planned to release end of March. We are now setting a release date of 25th of March, if I'm not mistaken. The product will be out for pre-orders very soon. We are going to open pre-orders on the 23rd of Feb, which is Tuesday next week, and we are going to. Why? Well, it's the first time we make pre-orders available for a game like War in the East, and the main reason is that on War in the West we have this huge manual. The big hardcover manual, and we ran out of these manuals very, very quickly. I think it was in a matter of 9 months to a year. So we wanted to make sure that you have a chance to pre-order the game so that we kind of at least understand how many manuals we have to print, because going to reprint these manuals is not very viable economically. And so we, at the end, we'll print run and then stop printing after that. The manual for War in the East is coming up around 500 pages. It's a huge thing, but we're trying to make it fit within within a book, so that all the manual fits in a volume. We're about to finish the layout on that, so we're going to make sure that if you pre-order, you get a manual, and there's going to be an incentive for that as well. And of course, you can buy it later as well, but this will give you at least a head start in getting the manual in time with the release of the game. As I was saying, the 25th of March will be the release of War in the East 2. On that, I guess it's important, check on the Matrix Games forum. There's a couple of AARs happening. One of which is very much focused on the scenario, on the Soviet side scenario, and that's basically going through all the main new features of the product. And the list is so big, I can't begin to start, doing that again. But check out the AR, and then there's another AR which is played mirrored, like Soviet versus Germans and vice versa. And two members are actually playing against each other, and they're doing the turn by turn explanation of what's happening. Again, a very interesting insight of what Warplan 2 will be. There's a lot of new stuff. It's a new game. It's an entirely new game, and we're super proud of how it's coming together. I urge you to look into that very and pre-order the product on the 23rd, so Tuesday next week. Next up, I want to check about Warplan Pacific. You know that we've announced Warplan Pacific in December. We have done a December Matrix Games update where we've presented War in the East, Warplan Pacific, Decisive campaigns, Ardennes, and Flashpoint campaign, Southern Storm. And we'll try and update you on more and more of these on these games as we approach release. Warplan Pacific is already into beta. You can subscribe to the beta again on matrixgames.com/beta. And today I wanted to have a chat, discuss a bit more about what the campaign will be. As you know, Warplan was very successful, game and focusing on the European theater. Moving to Pacific has its set of challenges. We've been doing war games for such a long time now. We know that the whole component of naval battles and the naval components are super hard to replicate. And guys, if you're here, you know what War in the Pacific is. The humongous game, and how it changed the approach towards monster war games. Of course, Warplan is a different, completely different proposition, but it's really trying to make naval battles in a very different way, and in a very effective way. The Solomon Island campaign that you're seeing here in the screenshots is really made to highlight all this. It's not only about naval battles, but you control the naval and air bases. You have to use naval forces to resupply. To create, of course, engagements, to blocking supply missions of opponents. It is a really in-depth, cool naval war game, and I think that's an achievement by the developer, Kraken, because moving from, all right, I have a nice little, war game there, a little system, European theater. I'll now move to Pacific, and then it causes a huge number of different, issues, of gameplay issues. And we've been playing the game. The beta is doing quite well, and really players are very, very happy about what they're seeing. It's a different game. It's the same brand, but it's a completely different game. Plays completely differently. So make sure you again wishlist it or participate in the beta. The game is planned to release in Q2, which means April to June, and we're just about there. We'll look into how the beta goes in a few weeks' time, and then decide about release date very, very soon. And next one, I want to give you an update on Decisive campaigns, Ardennes Offensive. This is Vic's VR Design's next game. It started like a mod, a scenario designer who started doing this product, and it did such a good work that Vic backed him strongly. It's a game called the Decisive campaigns, but effectively it's a completely new take on what the Decisive campaign product was and has been. We started with the Blitzkrieg game, then went to Case Blue, then went to Barbarossa, and they're all different products, right? Barbarossa had this strong RPG element we wanted to highlight. This is a much more focused product, and first of all, it's very focused on a specific time frame, which is new for the series. The other point is what we're going to focus today on is the UI. So I wanted to show you specific screenshots and explain what we're trying to achieve with this with the UI. The game is different, of course. Existing players will feel like home, of course. The whole system itself is Decisive campaigns, but we tried to create something that's a bit different. So let's try and start with the first screenshots we've got here. Lined up for you. If you can show its full screen, if you can, so that we. The idea is that UI on the DC games has always been very complex. So what Vic is trying to do here is to hide the details, hide a lot of the details, make sure that we show only what is important at the specific time. So pop-ups, mouse overs, everything's collapsible on the side, so it's kind of makes everything cleaner. So for instance, in this screenshot, you see the side window to the right, and it will show you all the information relevant to the specific hex you have selected at the moment. If you go to screenshot 2, this is your movement types. You see the supply state and reserves on the counter, and the again collapsible window on the right will show you the actual details and calculations. So very clearly here, there's an effort in making everything that is on screen relevant to what is happening at that specific time. And it is super hard to come up with a system that does that, but also gives you the right information at the right time, and on top of it, doesn't feel like cluttering all your screen. So I think the guys are doing a very, very good job at that right now. If we go to screenshot 3, this is a supply layer mode. So this will allow you to pick which supply move matrix you want to see at that specific time. Again, you see there, that's a screen. On that screen, you actually see only what is needed at that specific time. And I think, that's kind of the message, what we're trying to achieve there. On screenshot 4, this is for officers, again, collapsible unit window, and, so you can, play with their cards in an easier way. And the same with screenshot 5. This is more about the unit details. So here you see there's 4 kind of standing orders you can give to a unit. So you've got replacement request, supply request, intercept, fire minimum to 8 chance, and retreat at losses. And again, you've got like a very specific UI element that's relevant to what you're doing at that specific time. So we really wanted this to be a new way of approaching the UI for the Decisive campaign series, because of course, if Ardennes Offensive works the way it is intended to work, then of course we can cover with this system. You can easily cover a lot more ground, a lot more specific campaigns and battles and events through World War II with what is the new Decisive campaigns. I'm pretty proud that we decided at the beginning not to give a number to the Decisive campaign series, not to call them 1, 2, 3, 4, because if you take this product and compare it to what Decisive campaign Case Blue, for instance, was, or Blitzkrieg, it's a completely different game, but with a system that's proven. And so I'm very happy about the progress that VR Design has done over the years with this series. So make sure you take a look. I think the game is in beta, so if we can get the beta link on the chat, that'd be great. And for when it's releasing, I think we're thinking about end of Q2, beginning of Q3 in this case. So probably more around June, July time. And again, we'll keep you updated on that. It's one of the key war games we've got coming up this year. So I guess that we are now coming up to the end of the bit of news I got for you. After this, I'm going to try and answer a few questions also, but I wanted to update you on more things very quickly. So after this, we'll have a stream for Armor Brigade, the upcoming DLC, Czechoslovakia and Netherlands, is coming up on the 25th of February, which is next week. So make sure you give it a go. This is, I think this is the upcoming DLC for Armor Brigade. After that stream, we've got Order of Battle Allies Defiant in as a stream again with the Gamer. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. we have Fantasy General 2 Evolution, which is the next coming up DLC for Fantasy General 2. Again, releasing on the same day of Armor Brigade DLC on Thursday. And then after that, 8 p.m. we've got the new a new ICBM stream session with a new mod. I'm not sure which mod, but we're covering all the cool mods of ICBM these days, so make sure you tune in there. On Thursday at the tea time, at the traditional tea time, we've got a special guest. We're welcoming Ardennes David. Ardennes is with the is the godfather of the UK Fight Club, which is a professional wargaming network in the UK. We're going to talk a lot about use of war games in a professional environment. This will include talking about DSTL and how combat mission is used and how Flashpoint campaigns is used and command as well. He will tell us more about how the UK Fight Club is performing, and it's an incredible initiative. It's just boomed into the defense environment, and there's a lot to learn about how wargaming is now booming into the defense industry. So if you're interested in that, just make sure you tune in. And there's also a lot of news coming during that stream as well. So guys, if you've got questions, and I've not been following the chat a lot today, so if you've got questions now, just feel free to any news on the Flashpoint campaigns. Flashpoint campaigns, again, yes, well, there's news in the sense that the guys are working very, very hard. As you know, Flashpoint campaigns is one of the titles that's used in the defense industry, and the OTS team is working hard into implementing the last bits and in the professional environment of the professional version of the product. And the positive news is that some of these features will also make it in the consumer version, which is great. But also, it is unfortunately delaying the consumer version of the product. Nevertheless, we are pretty sure that the game is going to release in this year. Well, actually, Captain Darwin is in the chat, so he'll tell you more about it in text. Well, when is that talk? The talk with Ardennes David is on Thursday at 5 o'clock European time, so 4 o'clock UK time. Other things, when is Warren East coming? Warren East 2 is releasing on the 25th of March. Other questions. Command Mission Black Sea on Steam has a bug. US Army missing the ammo pouches. That's definitely one to report. Thank you, Mordente69. Pre-order price for Warplan 2, we didn't decide yet. We've got a call about it with my colleagues about it tomorrow, so we don't know ourselves yet. Is Ardennes spring release? Ardennes is probably going to be around June, July at the moment. What is about Starship Troopers? I want to play it. Me too. I want to play it. But Starship Troopers is progressing well. We're now targeting June for a release, and we're almost there in terms of how the core gameplay works, and we're pretty happy about it. We're recruiting for beta testers again, so make sure that you subscribe to that. Any other question, guys? There any chance Steam pre-orders for Combat Mission Cold War? Nope. No Steam pre-orders planned for Cold War. Can you get a Fog 2 medieval tournament in the near future? Yes, in the very near future, Pixel. I think we'll start subscriptions to that tournament, I think on Thursday this week. I'm not too sure, but that's going to be, I think that's pretty safe to say. Will there be sales on release on Steam? As in cutting the price down? I don't think so, not at all for Cold War. It's going to be a full price release. Yeah, so Crusade DLC, I'm pretty sure it's in the plans. It's not it's not going to be the first DLC for Medieval, but the Crusades are definitely a planned DLC for Fog 2 Medieval. Yeah, so if there's no more question, just joined. What did I miss? Oh, Kushan, a lot, a lot. I think you'll have to review to watch this as a video after it's been uploaded. But we'll make sure you send you the link. When is the first DLC for Medieval due? Not sure. I think it's going to be probably next quarter, so around April, May. The best announcement stream of the year. We try hard, Claude, because we've got so much happening. We are trying to make these announcements as relevant as possible for specific parts of our audience, and it's we like that we can come back to actual proper hardcore war games once a month, and we'll try and do it over time. This is the last one of the sort of set of announcements. We had a month long of announcements on the Tuesday evenings. Now we're going to stop. We're going to keep going with the tea time on the Thursday, and a new wave of announcements. We have so much happening and so many games we didn't announce yet. A new wave will come towards end of March, beginning of April, and again, we'll go on from there. But remember that we've just announced Battle Sector, so we'll have one of these sessions for sure about Battle Sector deep gameplay dive. So when we're going to play the game entirely and show you everything about it, we're going to have one like this for Starship Troopers. So there's plenty of opportunities, and there's of course Distant Worlds 2. So there's plenty of stuff to cover. Although it's not like new things never seen before, it's definitely something that we want to keep doing in the future. Right. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. It was great to Distant Worlds 2 or Shut Up. Distant Worlds 2 is definitely going to be well, definitely not definitely, but it's currently planned for June. It may be coming during June or early July, but that's the plan right now, and it's doing quite well in terms of development. So we're good. We're good. Warplan Pacific needs more love. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right. I think that Warplan Pacific is a game that deserves a lot of attention, and we're trying to give it the attention it deserves. But every game reclaims its own set of attention. So, but I agree with you that Warplan Pacific is a terrific game. you guys are totally pretending to not notice my questions about Master of Magic, aren't you? Well, no, I truly didn't read the question. What was the question about Master of Magic? Grey Knight no, 22. Grey Knight 22. What? Master of Magic is so 90s. Well, I try and pretend I read the question and answer a random question about Master of Magic. We are developing a Master of Magic game, and we haven't announced anything about it yet. And we are going to soon let you know more about it. That's exactly, totally the only thing I can say about it. Cheers, guys. It was good to have you, and we'll see you on Thursday for the tea time.